Call it the Disney World indicator. One way to measure U.S. consumer confidence is to look at traffic at the Orlando theme park. The Magic Kingdom was absolutely packed over the holiday season, with people willing to splash buckets of cash for a little bit of family amusement and lots of waiting. Quincy Krosby is a market strategist at Prudential. Quincy, why do you say Disney World shows Americans are feeling good about their future?
Because, that's truly discretionary income. If you feel like you're going to lose your job, I think even over Christmas holiday, you're going to say to the kids, look, let's put it off. Let's put it off a bit. There was a line at one of the Epcot's rides, a 5-hour wait for one of those rides. In terms of the Magic Kingdom, they literally had to stop people coming in. You had to wait until
you couldn't even go in.
You couldn't even go in until someone came out. The lines for food were enormous. And by the way, it wasn't just Americans. There were foreigners coming in. And what does that tell you?
Critically, within your work across all asset classes at Prudential, is it a last hurrah as we see these markets and this turmoil in the markets? Is it that race of exuberance before? Not an impediment, but something out there?
You know something? A lot of the Americans who were there...
Not depressing.
Yeah.
Just, I think it's a great observation that Disney World's rocking.
Yeah, it's rocking, but many of them actually don't focus on the market. What they focus on, do they have a job? Gasoline prices are down. They just perhaps bought a car. They're feeling optimistic. That's the difference, Main Street, Wall Street.
I think it's a good point that you bring up about how most of the people there are actually not Americans. When I went in November, which was during the low season, you wouldn't have known it, given how packed it was. Everything I heard around me was Spanish, Portuguese, every other language in addition to English. One thing that always strikes me, there's a family at Disney World back in November.
The happy family. Were you on speaking terms that day?
Barely at the end.
Stan Collender, in your work at Qorvis trying to tease apart bits and pieces of the U.S. economy, how much weight do you lend to compelling anecdotal evidence like this? How do you take that and plug it into actual statistics?
Well, the answer is we do both. I mean, MSL is a very research-driven organization. So especially if we were working for Disney, we would want to be talking about the increase in the statistics itself, year over year, those types of things to demonstrate the popularity of what's going on, how good the company is doing. I'm sitting here thinking the corporate story, which is how old is Disney as a company and how is it that they're still thriving? I mean, you guys have already mentioned the movie Frozen once. I mean, today.
Protection of intellectual property, I think, is part of it.
But it's the it's the correct marketing of it. It's marketing to different generations. I mean, this is a company that's shown extraordinary amounts of staying power, and from a public relations firm, from the communications agency, those would be the kinds of stories we're trying to show.
And I have to say, it is amazing the way they take the classics. If you get the DVD of Peter Pan like we did recently, they're making sure on the DVD they autoplay plugs for Disney World, for upcoming films. Your kids know what's going on at Disney, even if you haven't played it that yet.
And the Magic Band will store it for decades and generations to come. Quincy, Disney, obviously a consumer discretionary company because you don't have to spend that money at Disney World. Also in the consumer discretionary category is media companies, Verizon and AOL. This talk about them perhaps linking up, getting together, whether it's a joint venture or a takeover. Do you expect to see more of this kind of tie-up, whether this one happens or not, in 2015?
Yeah, I think all of the companies are looking for different venues for growth, getting growth, having growth, and mind you, if the stock market is a nervous the whole year, they'll put off some of these deals. But assuming the market just calms down, you're going to hear more and more deals this year.
And, of course, what Verizon is primarily interested in, Stan, is AOL's programmatic advertising technology. I know that at your firm you do a lot of focus on this kind of advertising.
Well, MSL is owned by Publicis, which owns some of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. And I can tell you from all of our research and what we're hearing from clients, digital advertising is where everybody wants to go. You guys at Bloomberg know this because you do it extremely well.
Shameless plug.
Aww.
But not from me.
And some love.
Launching in January, I might point out, is Bloomberg Business.
Yes. Speaking of shameless plugs.
Speaking of
Dang the plug again.
With
wow.
a beautiful blue color. We're looking forward to it.